doing here is that with bronze, has copper, tin, and steel in it. And what happens over time is that the patina here, the green, is oftentimes the coloration they want to have on these markers, but over time the copper in the bronze itself starts reacting to the impurities in the air, and you get an oxidizing result. And what happens is eventually it starts bleeding, and you'll see monuments at existing post offices, and you'll wonder why at the base of a plaque or a statue what's going on with the discoloration of this green getting into the stone. It's because what's happening is that the residue of the plaque now is leaching into the stone. So what we do here is this is helping preserve the surface of the bronze. It also allows you to read the epitaph or the inscription much easier. From a modality standpoint, you do this every year. It allows for stewardship and keeping track of the condition of the monument itself. That could easily be unscrewed. The thought is that for the time being, to put some epoxy. And then again, one of the challenges is with a lot of these plaques are people can't necessarily stop and see them from the roadway, but if they are taken care of properly, patina in the surface, then you can drive by at a reasonable rate of speed and still see what's there. Now, obviously with this iron cannon, it's starting to spoil as well. Basically put the wax on, and that will help arrest the rust from continuing, but at some point the surface of this should be smoothed down. Trying to research missing plaques and markers because a lot of them have been stolen for scrap. This gentleman in the back kept looking up at me, and I didn't know what he was questioning. Maybe I was talking too loud, and afterwards he came over and introduced himself, and he said, I hear you're trying to find where these plaques are, and he said, I can help you. I grew up in this area. And I said to him, do you serve? And he said, yes, I'm a Vietnam vet. I want to take you to a couple of the sites, but I want to take you to my neighborhood and where I grew up. And we did go to a few sites and saw where some of the plaques had been vandalized, a couple were missing. And then we proceeded over to a very depressed neighborhood, and we went back in, and there was this little village green, and there was this beautiful wall, almost like this, but probably 10 by 12, and on it was this wonderful World War II plaque. And he said when he was a kid, he used to come out on Memorial Day and Veterans Day and put a wreath, have a ceremony. He said they don't do that anymore. And we looked back, and there was the flagpole, no oak glory over it, no light, and the plaque was in dire need of conservation. He said, this community has lost its soul. So in the spirit of saving hallowed ground, the thought was to try to get the local post down there, go into that neighborhood, have some of the local kids, approach them, have them come over and help us clean and wax the plaque, put up an American flag, and approach Pico and see if they'll pay for a light to be illuminated. You may say, well, somebody will compromise it, but what I found is that you do a project like that, it creates a sense of hope with people. In some cases, people step forward and take stewardship of a project. And the feeling is it's not an isolated situation where demographics or economics have changed and thus markers that used to be taken care of are not, and that really should not be an excuse not to take care of them. And the feeling is we can, without making it complicated, go in and address these plaques and address some hope. So that's one thought for this fall before November. Patrick, one of the things we did with St. Catherine's, I brought them over and we did a clinic, and they did the cleaning and waxing as part of their studying, and they were so, I guess, intrigued by the results that they want to take on the care of that plaque now into the future. And you can't ask for anything more than that. It's something that will tie in with their history, but it's local students stepping forward to recognize an important site, and this can work with other campaigns and sites as well.
This early in the war, you know, I mean, this is a real good deal. I mean, and really nice. In fact, somebody come down with a weed whacker and seen it back here and said, you know, this needs to be out where people can see it. And hopefully the people in authority will do the right thing and get this into a you know, an honorable place, man, where we can, you know, we can actually go visit it. And, yeah, is that what that guy did yesterday?
Yeah, he cleaned it up.
Yeah, man, it looks nice.
Graves, when were you in that?
I was in Nam 67 and 68. I got in there for the hill fights in 67.
Okay.
I was there for Tet Offensive in 68. I was in 3-3 in 67. In Tet Offensive, I was in Graves Registration out of Dong Ha, northernmost morgue in Vietnam. How did this look before, Pat?
Pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Pretty shitty.
Man.
I first saw it in March when Steve called me.
It was a mess. Patrick never gets, the photographer never gets in the photographs. That film and you had to worry about all that shit running out. Now you don't have to worry.
Nope. I appreciate you getting the ball rolling, and hopefully everybody getting this out of the way. I mean, to me, this is touching, man. I mean, to have a monument to our warriors, like, you know,
Before it escalated.
right. I
mean, that was the whole thing. I'm standing there looking at that. I'm going. That was before.
I was, November 10th of 66, I was on the USS Chilton over in a med cruise. I was a Marine. Making amphibious landings in the Mediterranean, practicing to go to Vietnam. So when this was dedicated, I wasn't even a Vietnam vet yet. And then to see this, I mean, this, you know, this is, you know, this is way before its time, man. You know, I mean, this is, you know.
And it's really bugged me that it's taken so long to do this. You would think it would be a no-brainer. He said, we'll lay the plot out at the Catholic Town. We'll lay everything out and show them what it's going to look like. I have stonemasons, I have people working contractors, and I have heavy equipment that we can do this with.
Nice.
No, I just once you're ready, you hit that pedal. You don't care how it's that's what my sister said. My sister said.
Hey!